Shalom, it's the 23rd of April and I haven't made any of these recordings in a while. I'm still busy with the book of James, specifically chapter 3, and there's a few interesting things that I'm looking at. But the one thing I looked at this morning was the verse that says that we are made in the image of God. With that, James is saying that we need to act like Yahweh, effectively. Now, the verse that he's quoting from, that we made in the image, is in Genesis, where the word image is translated to phantom and illusion. So it is something that is not real, that is based on something that is. A shadow is the result of light. A light that shines upon an object, and the object produces an outline of what the object looked like. So the source of light is the origin of a shadow. Without the light, a shadow cannot exist. Now, if you compare that with the idea of the letter Kol and Kal, which is Kuf Lamet with vowel point changes, the one means light and the other one means sound. So light and sound are related to one another through the letter Kuf Lamet. The one is of a higher medium, which is light. And if you slow down light, you go into the audio spectrum, which produce sound. So there are technologies out there to point a telescope at a star, slow down the frequency, and you can listen to the sound that the light makes from that star, for example. So in saying that, if you compare light, which is relating to Yahweh, the origin and the father of all things, which is at a higher dimension to us that are on the lower dimension, in the same way sound relates more to man and light relates more to Yahweh. That's why the medium of words, which come through sound, is relating to us who exist in the lower realm or in a fallen state. Father means origin, or the originator, and the source of the sound or the source of the light comes from Yahweh, and that's also why the scripture says that Yahweh is light. Light is also compared to truth, and truth is the essence of everything. White light contains every single color in itself through the reflective properties of the object that is shining upon. In the same way, sound is produced through the vocal cords and formed by the tongue and the mouth through breath. So breath is basically the origin of sound that blows through the vocal cords that make the sound, and then the mouth and the tongue form the words, which then make them identifiable. In the same way, the object that shape the shadow is similar to the mouth and the tongue that form the sound which originate from the breath. The same analogy, light is the origin, and if you shine the light onto an object, it casts a shadow, and the shadow is what we analyze. Just like listening to words, you analyze the shadow and you can see more or less what the outline of the object or the origin of light or the origin of sound is producing. In saying that means that we are limited in our understanding of the source, because it is cast or shone or sent through a lower medium, in this case words, that formulate something that is tangible to us. But when you move beyond that, you just see the white light and you can't really distinguish anything. So a shadow or shadows are there to help us to understand every aspect of the light. Now what James is also referring to in chapter 2, he said that Yahweh is the Father of lights and there is no shadow of turning. Now the Greek word for turning means the turning of celestial bodies, which are the heavenly bodies, the sun, moon and the stars, which rotate through a cyclical cycle. Now when you look at the sun and how it moves through the sky in a cyclical cycle, it casts shadows with the trees and the rocks and whatever is out there, and the shadow constantly moves based on the movement of the light. Now what James is effectively saying is that the origin of the light stands still and does not move or does not change and does not produce a shadow that is moving or changing and in some cases disappearing altogether. So with that, he's confirming what's written in the book of Psalms that says, I am Yahweh, I change not. He is steadfast in who he is. He is the origin of all things and he does not move, he does not change. That's basically what James is emphasizing through that statement. But taking it a bit further, just thinking about the concept of light and words and sound, what we can do when you have an experiment, you have a light, use your hand to make little shapes, and as you move your hand and you add some more shapes, you can alter the shadow on the wall. Now what man is doing, we are modifying the words that shape the high dimension truth or light into a tangible outline of what the truth is all about. So when you add or take away from the word, which is the lower medium component, you alter the shadow or the understanding of what the origin of the light is all about. That's why Yahweh specifically said we should not take away or add to his word, because his word and his words are basically the mechanisms or the mediums through which his light is shining, casting shadows into our realm of understanding. So changing that, distort the shadow, distort the outline, and distort the understanding of the origin. Even though you change the words, it does not affect the light or the source of light at all, because that's it above everything. You cannot change that. So that's an interesting concept, just to think about how we translate Yahweh's truth through his word that has been adjusted or tampered by man, by religion, by man's understanding, by different doctrines throughout times and cultures. And it is very hard to get to the real truth, so to speak. So what do? You need to go east. You need to go to the origin. You need to go back to the original. And that's what we looked at last time when we looked at pure religion. The word pure religion in Greek consists of two words, which is actually the word for undefiled and alpha, which is not to defile the origin. So pure religion is going back to the origin, which is the light, the source. Now, another thing that stand out to me when I thought about these concepts, if you compare Yahweh's truth to the sun, and the sun moves throughout the sky in different seasons, it will cast different shadows or different views of the word, of the object in that point in time, different to another angle in a different point in time. Or, for example, from one Moedim to another Moedim, you'll get the same truth from two different viewpoints. and it give a different nuance to that truth. It coloring a different aspect of that truth. And the aspects of the symbolism of the Moedim, for example, are figuratively and symbolically fixed. So you can't really change that. So as the light shines upon it, and it shines upon the symbolism and the pictures within Scripture, it highlights those aspects of the truth from each of the Moedim's point of view, casting a moving shadow across the landscape of your understanding of Yahweh's word. So the Moedim are basically symbolism of His word expressed in a different format other than sound or words. So symbolism are just as important as words and have the same function. That's why symbolism in Scripture is paramount in understanding Yahweh's word. And a picture tells 1,000 words. Even throughout time and culture, a picture is still a picture with the symbolism attached to it, and different symbolism attached to different other symbolisms give you a different understanding. So just like the Pyramid of Giza is a timeless capturing of technology through mathematics, shapes and ratios, in the same way the symbolism in Scripture is a timeless capturing of Yahweh's truth throughout generations and throughout cultures. So we need to focus on the symbolism, understand the symbolism, and then you will be able to interpret the purest form of His word. Very important aspect to understand. So I just want to close with those few thoughts on the two statements that James made. Very interesting concepts. There's a few others that I would like to share prior to doing the teaching next Friday. Not this week, the following week. So I hope you have a lovely week. And shalom.